Chosen one. Listen closely. Heaven has pressed pause on the noise around you, because this is your moment of awakening. You can feel it, can't you? The air around you carries weight, the kind that comes before rain. The silence you've endured was not absence, it was alignment. For a long time, it felt like the heavens were quiet, as though your prayers fell back to the ground unanswered. But the truth, chosen one, is that the pause was divine. It wasn't rejection, it was preparation. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible to heaven. The delays that once made you question your worth were never delays to God. They were divine appointments, waiting for the fullness of time. Every door that didn't open, every season that seemed to stall, every opportunity that slipped away, all of it was God saying, "Not yet. My child, I am still building you for what I have built for you." Len, the angels have whispered your name in the courts of heaven. Heaven's timeline is now aligning with your earthly reality. You will soon see movement in places where stillness once reigned. This is the hour where the waiting ends and delivery begins. Every held-back blessing, every delayed promise, every forgotten prayer is being summoned forward by divine decree. There were moments you almost gave up when the silence was too loud, when faith felt like foolishness, when hope seemed cruel. But what you didn't know is that heaven's silence was never punishment. It was orchestration. You were being hidden, refined, and molded so that when the release came, you would be ready to carry the weight of glory attached to your promise. The fire you walked through did not destroy you, it purified you. The wilderness didn't break you, it built your endurance. Every no was protecting you from what would have sabotaged your destiny if it had come too early. You weren't being delayed, you were being delivered from counterfeit blessings. Chosen one, do not despise the divine pause, for it is the proof that you are part of heaven's precise design. There is no wasted waiting when you are chosen. Every tear watered the ground of your future. Every disappointment sowed humility. And humility always precedes promotion. You are about to see why the delay was necessary, because what's coming next will require a stronger, wiser, sharper version of you. The Spirit whispers even now, what was withheld is being released. What was slow is gaining speed. What was blocked is breaking open. You can sense it in your spirit, a holy acceleration beginning to take shape. Doors that were rusted shut are being unlocked with keys forged from your endurance. The gate that once resisted you will soon open at your arrival. Heaven is issuing new orders concerning your life. This is not imagination. This is divine manifestation. There's a shift in the atmosphere that can no longer be delayed. The time that seemed lost is returning to you in multiplied form. The days you thought were wasted will soon testify of restoration, as the prophet Isaiah wrote, chapter 42, verse 31. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not faint. You have hoped. You have endured. And now strength returns. Your wings are not broken, they were being stretched. You are rising above what once confined you. The same God who saw you in the waiting now calls you into movement. So, lift your head. Chosen one, you are stepping into fulfillment. This is the season where heaven moves on your behalf. What was delayed is now being delivered. You will not chase what is yours, it will find you, locate you, and rest upon you with undeniable favor. Heaven is not asking you to strive. Heaven is asking you to receive. Step into alignment with boldness. Expect acceleration. Prepare your heart. For divine timing has met divine readiness. The silence has broken, and so will the barriers around your destiny. Now, before you move to the next word, take this as your prophetic act. Like this message, share it with another chosen one, and subscribe so you do not miss the next revelation in this divine flow. Then, go to the comments and write this number, 770. 7, the number of divine completion. The sign that your waiting season has reached its holy conclusion. You remember the weight of waiting. Chosen one, the kind of waiting that pressed down on your chest until breathing felt like faith itself. There were nights you stared into the dark, asking why the promises spoken over you hadn't come to pass. You questioned if perhaps you had misunderstood God, if maybe your anointing had expired, or if the silence meant you had been replaced. But heaven never replaced you. Heaven was refining you. Waiting is not punishment. It is preparation. The longer the delay, the deeper the work God is doing within. You have been in divine training, not divine timeout. The weight you've carried in hidden seasons has been heaven's method of strengthening your spiritual muscles. Others may have advanced quickly, but their roots were shallow. You, however, have been growing underground, building stability that storms cannot uproot. You didn't see it, but while you waited, something sacred was happening. Your faith was maturing. Your prayers were changing tone. You began to pray less for escape and more for endurance. You stopped asking for quick deliverance and started asking for divine purpose. That shift, that moment when your desire to know Him became greater than your desire to receive from Him, was the moment the delay began to lose its power over you. Chosen one, there is a holy strength born only in the shadows of waiting. When everything around you seems still, heaven is busy behind the veil. There's movement in silence, orchestration in stillness. What you perceived as inactivity was actually divine activity. You were being rewritten by waiting. Every sigh shaping humility, every unanswered prayer cultivating trust. You've walked through seasons where you gave your best and saw no fruit. You sowed kindness and reaped rejection. You prayed fervently and faced resistance. Yet somehow, something inside refused to die. That something is faith, the quiet rebellion of the soul that still believes when evidence disappears. Faith is not loud. It doesn't always shout victory. Sometimes, it simply whispers, God is still good. End of 4. The weight of waiting reveals who you really are. It strips away the illusion that you control the outcome. It dismantles pride and teaches dependence. Waiting reveals what you love most, the gift or the giver. And in your case, chosen one. You have chosen the giver. That is why heaven trusts you with delay, because you will not idolize the blessing once it arrives. There were moments when you almost settled, weren't there? Moments when the counterfeit looked close enough to the promise that you considered accepting it, but something within you whispered, don't do it. That wasn't fear, that was discernment. God was protecting you from what looked like destiny, but was actually distraction. Waiting preserved you. It kept your hands empty long enough for the right thing to arrive. And now, as you look back, you can see it, how every closed door saved you, how every unanswered prayer shielded you from destruction, disguised as opportunity. You were never forgotten. You were being strategically positioned. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 5, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. Those ancient words still hold weight. Chosen one, trust not in timing, not in outcomes, but in the author of your destiny. Trust that his silence was never neglect. Trust that his delays are disguised mercy. Trust that every unseen moment was necessary for what's coming. The waiting season carved reverence into your spirit. It taught you to hear God in whispers, not just in wonders. It trained your eyes to recognize small signs of his presence. You've learned that favor is not always loud. Sometimes it looks like preservation, peace, or the simple grace to keep going when you should have quit. You have been stretched, pressed, and tested, but not abandoned. The weight of waiting forged resilience into your bones. You carry quiet authority now, the kind that only comes from surviving what should have broken you. The delay has not diminished you, it has defined you. And soon, everything will make sense. The season that once made you question God will become the proof of his faithfulness. You will say, "Now I understand why it took this long, because divine timing always redeems itself, never early, never late, but precisely when the soul is ready." The weight of waiting is the evidence of being chosen. Others rush ahead. You remain under the refining hand of heaven. That patience, that endurance, is what separates the anointed from the ambitious. You were never being punished. You were being perfected. Hold this truth close. What took time to form will last the test of time. You are the product of divine precision, not human pacing. And though the waiting was heavy, it has made you unshakable. You will not break when the blessing comes, because you were built in the waiting. Chosen one. While you thought nothing was happening, heaven was working in silence. The unseen realm has always been more active than your eyes could comprehend. What felt like a standstill was, in truth, a sacred construction site. God was rearranging timelines, moving people, shifting hearts, and aligning details that your human sight could never have calculated. You saw delay, heaven saw design. You didn't know that behind closed doors, angels were being dispatched to prepare the path. You didn't realize that certain opportunities had to be delayed until the right hearts were ready to receive you. Sometimes God holds back your blessing, not because you are unprepared, but because the environment around you is not yet capable of handling your light. The unseen hand of God has been at work beneath every disappointment. The relationships that ended, the doors that closed. The people who left, all of them, were part of the rearrangement. You didn't lose anything essential. Heaven simply cleared what was blocking your growth. Sometimes pruning feels like loss, but it's actually preparation for fruitfulness. You've been walking through an invisible construction zone. Heaven has been re-engineering the route to your destiny, removing debris from past pain, and rebuilding your confidence in divine timing. That's why you've felt disoriented at times, because God shifted your direction while you were still walking. As was spoken in the sacred texts of old, the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. When that single truth is the heartbeat of this moment. Chosen one. Nothing has been wasted. Every betrayal became a blueprint. Every disappointment became divine data. Heaven does not lose track of your pain, it repurposes it. What the enemy meant for harm has been rewritten into favor. You see, what happens in the unseen realm determines what will happen in the visible. You felt like nothing was shifting, but the truth is, everything was shifting. Just not in the open yet. The soil beneath your feet was being tilled. The roots of your purpose watered. The timing recalibrated to perfection. And now, the pieces begin to make sense. The ones who walked away were never meant to build with you. The opportunities that vanished would have burdened your spirit. The delays that felt cruel were the reason your destiny remains intact. This is how heaven works quietly, strategically, relentlessly. God never wastes time. He invests it. What seemed like stillness was actually God perfecting every detail so your manifestation would not crumble upon arrival. Chosen one. Your prayers were not ignored. They were incubated. They were planted deep into the soil of divine timing. And heaven has been nurturing them ever since. Some prayers need to mature before they can manifest, because premature blessings often become burdens. You had to grow strong enough to carry what you've been asking for. That's why you were tested in patience, in faith, in trust. Heaven doesn't rush destiny, it refines it. You have now reached the place where what was hidden will begin to surface. You'll start to see subtle signs, small shifts in conversation, unexpected alignments, words from others that confirm what your spirit already knows. And when you see these signs, don't rush to explain them away. Recognize them for what they are, heavenly fingerprints, proof that God has been working while you were waiting. Even now, in this very moment, the unseen world is aligning things on your behalf. You may not hear the sound yet, but the movement is real. Doors are unlocking quietly. Favor is finding your name in rooms you've never entered. The divine network is active, and you are the center of its current assignment. So, lift your perspective. Trust what your spirit senses, even when your eyes see nothing. Believe that the delay had meaning, that the unseen has been preparing you for something that could not have arrived any sooner than now. Heaven has not forgotten the promise. The builder of your destiny has been at work the whole time, laying foundations so strong that no storm will shake them. When the unveiling comes, it will be undeniable that this was not luck or coincidence. This was orchestration. And now, as your spirit aligns with this truth, let your faith respond. Go to the comments and write these 3 words. I trust you. Because every time you declare that, you're not just typing letters, you're agreeing with heaven's rhythm. You're saying, even when I can't see it, I know you're working. Those words carry prophetic weight. They break anxiety's grip and announce that you are still aligned with divine timing. You, chosen one, are not late. You are right on time for what heaven has prepared. Chosen one. Every delay has been a disguise for divine strategy. You are stepping into the revelation that what seemed denied was never denial, it was delay with purpose. Heaven has never said no to what aligns with your calling. It has only said, wait until it's ready. The very thing you prayed for has been moving toward you all along, wrapped in layers of timing and transformation. You once thought unanswered prayers meant disfavor, but the truth, chosen one, is that God's silence was mercy. If he had granted your request too early, it would have broken you. A blessing outside of divine timing can feel like a curse, and God loved you too much to let that happen. The waiting protected you from what your heart wasn't yet able to handle. You see, God's delay is His craftsmanship at work. Every unfulfilled promise is like a seed beneath the soil, invisible, but very much alive. You can't see its progress, but you can trust its process. The roots grow first, before the fruit appears. Heaven was cultivating your roots, building depth within you, so the weight of your calling would not cause collapse when the fruit finally arrived. When you prayed for promotion, heaven began working on humility. When you prayed for influence, heaven began working on integrity. When you prayed for blessings, heaven began working on boundaries. That's why it took time, because the answer was not denied. It was being built within you. The greatest evidence of divine favor is not how quickly your prayers are answered, but how deeply you are transformed in the waiting. You, chosen one, have been shaped into someone who can carry what others would drop. You have been trained through hiddenness to sustain visibility when it comes. That is why your delay is over now, because your character has caught up to your calling. Look back over your journey. You will see divine fingerprints everywhere. The heartbreaks that forced you to heal, the disappointments that taught you discernment, the moments of silence that trained you to hear God's whispers. None of it was wasted. God was building spiritual stamina inside you, teaching you to stand firm, to trust deeply, to believe beyond evidence. You were not being punished when doors closed. You were being redirected. Heaven blocked what would have distracted you. God shut the mouths of those who would have sabotaged you. He removed you from environments where your anointing would have been misused. What you lost was never rejection, it was redirection. And now the fog begins to lift. You start to realize that the unanswered prayers were the greatest blessings of all. God's no saved you from destruction. His not yet saved you from despair. His timing is not slow, it's strategic. The hand of God never misses its mark. It only waits for the perfect moment to reveal what has been finished in eternity. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. These ancient words echo in your soul right now. God's plans for you were never cancelled, only concealed until the appointed time. The path may have felt crooked, but it was leading you straight toward destiny. Every detour has purpose. Every delay carries wisdom. What felt like wandering was, in truth, a guided journey. You were never off track. Heaven was rerouting you around unseen danger. That's why certain things didn't last. That's why some people couldn't stay. God saw what you couldn't and acted on your behalf before you even realized there was a threat. Chosen one. You are living proof that delay is not denial. If God hasn't delivered it yet, it's because He's still perfecting it. The delivery process is sacred. Heaven doesn't rush masterpieces. The same way, gold must be refined through fire. Your destiny has been purified through waiting. And now, the time has arrived when what was forming in the unseen begins to manifest in the seen. You've passed the test of patience. You've endured the silence. You've chosen faith over frustration. That endurance has now triggered release. Do not regret the waiting. It gave you wisdom. Do not mourn the delays. They gave you discernment. Every slow season was a sacred classroom where heaven taught you how to hold what's holy. So breathe. Chosen one. The waiting season has served its purpose. The unseen work is complete. Heaven is ready to reveal what's been maturing all along. You will soon see that what looked denied was, in fact, divinely delivered right on time, in perfect form, and blessed beyond measure. Chosen one. The moment you have been sensing in your spirit is here. The seal has been broken. For so long, it felt as though your blessings were locked behind some invisible gate, sealed away where your prayers could not reach. But heaven has declared movement. What was withheld is being released. The embargo has lifted. Every spiritual restriction, every unseen resistance, every wall that stood between you and fulfillment is crumbling. Imagine a dam holding back a mighty river. The water behind it grows restless, pressing harder with every passing day, waiting for the appointed time to flow. And then a single crack forms. The pressure builds. The wall trembles. Suddenly, the floodgates burst open. That, chosen one, is your life right now. The flow of heaven's abundance is breaking through the walls that once contained it. The long drought is ending. What once seemed still is beginning to surge with divine momentum. You may not see the full flood yet, but the air around you is heavy with rain. The blessing is no longer delayed. It's simply gathering strength before its release. Every area where you felt restricted finances, purpose, relationships, healing is now entering divine acceleration. You might remember seasons when you prayed and felt like your words bounced back unanswered. But heaven was never deaf. It was deliberate. God was holding back, not to punish, but to preserve. There is a timing in heaven that cannot be rushed. The seal could only be broken when all pieces aligned perfectly, and now they have. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 12. The Lord will open the heavens, the storehouse of his bounty, to send rain on your land in season and to bless all the work of your hands. Oh, that season, chosen one, is this one. The heavens that once seemed silent are now open over you. The rain is on its way, not just drops of mercy, but an outpouring of favor. It will not come as a trickle, but as a torrent, washing away every trace of drought that lingered in your soul. Think of your spirit as a field that has endured long seasons without rain. Cracks have formed, hope has thinned, and dreams have felt like dust. But even cracked ground can drink again. When the rain falls, the dry places will bloom. Hidden seeds, long buried and forgotten, will suddenly push through the soil. Things you thought had died are about to show signs of life. But there's something else, something sacred about what happens when the seal breaks. Heaven doesn't just pour into you, it pours through you. The blessing is not meant to be hoarded, but shared. You are not just a recipient, you are a channel. When you release gratitude, encouragement, generosity, and faith, the river within you flows freely, and heaven continues to refill it. The flow only stops when it's withheld. So as this flood of favor begins to move, stay open. When you see goodness coming your way, lift your hands and say, I receive it, and I release it. Bless others with words, with prayer, even with acts of giving. Every drop of kindness keeps the river moving. Below the chosen one. If these words stir your spirit, Let your heart respond naturally. Support the flow that supports you. If this message has watered your soul, then share the water, send it forward. Like this message, so it reaches another thirsty heart. Share it with someone standing in their own dry season. Subscribe to stay connected to these streams of revelation, so your spirit continues to be refreshed. And if you feel led, let your giving become part of your worship. Sow into this flow, not out of obligation, but out of gratitude. Every offering is like a seed tossed into running water. It travels far beyond what you can see and returns multiplied in ways only heaven can measure. Giving keeps the stream alive. It ensures that the message that once reached you will reach another wandering soul, still searching for hope. Your act of kindness, no matter how small, becomes a ripple in the current of divine provision. When you give, share, and pour out from the overflow of your heart, you align yourself with heaven's rhythm, the same rhythm that broke your seal of delay. Chosen one, the floodgates are open now. The sound you hear in your spirit is not imagination, it's movement. What you've been waiting for is not coming, it's already flowing. Stand in the current, let it wash over you. And as you do, remember, this is not just for you. You are part of the stream that heaven uses to awaken others. So, stand tall. Open your hands and whisper, let it flow. The seal is broken. The drought has ended. The river runs free. Chosen one. Can you feel it? The first signs of delivery are beginning to unfold. What was once invisible is now surfacing before your eyes. The silence that surrounded you for so long is breaking, not with noise, but with confirmation. Heaven has begun to leave traces, hints, patterns, alignments to let you know that the promise is not just coming, it's already in motion. You start to notice small shifts, a message that arrives at just the right time, a conversation that feels divinely orchestrated, a sudden peace where there once was confusion. These are not coincidences. They are early signs, prophetic proofs that the delivery has been dispatched. The divine courier has left heaven's gates, and your name is written on what it carries. Do not ignore these subtle signs. Heaven often announces big things in small ways. Just as dawn whispers before daylight explodes, so does manifestation reveal itself before it fully appears. You will begin to see patterns that only your spirit recognizes: numbers, dreams, repeating symbols, encounters that speak directly to your waiting. Pay attention. Chosen one, for God is speaking again. The signs of delivery will look ordinary at first. You may dismiss them as chance, but they are divine fingerprints. Every time you sense that inner tug, that quiet reminder that something is shifting, pause and acknowledge it. Heaven moves through awareness. When you notice the move, you participate in it. It may start with simple blessings, a door you forgot to knock on, suddenly opening, a person reappearing with new purpose, a creative idea that seems to come from nowhere. But these are not random. They are the early echoes of fulfillment. The invisible is becoming visible. The delayed is becoming delivered. Chosen one, you have entered the season of manifestation, though it will first appear subtle. It's like watching the first sprout break through the soil after a long winter. You don't see the full tree yet, but you know life has returned. The small signs are sacred confirmations. Heaven has remembered your name, as Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 7. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you. These words are alive again in your story. The asking has already been heard. The seeking has already reached heaven's ears. And now, the knocking is being answered. What once felt like an impenetrable wall is now a doorway, slowly opening in your favor. You have endured enough stillness to recognize movement when it arrives. You will feel it first in your spirit, a quickening, a stirring, a sense that something is on its way. That feeling is not emotion, it's discernment. The signs of delivery are spiritual before they are physical. The heavens always move before the earth catches up. So don't be discouraged if the evidence around you still looks small. Remember, even clouds start as vapor. What you're sensing is the forming of your miracle, the gathering of your rain. You may only see fragments right now, but fragments are proof that fullness is coming. Every small sign is an invitation to stay expectant. Chosen one, you are about to experience what others call suddenly. It will seem like everything happens all at once, but it didn't. Heaven has been preparing this moment in layers, and now you're walking into the visible stage of what has long been hidden. Keep your spirit attentive. God will confirm through whispers, numbers, dreams, and divine appointments. When these signs appear, don't just notice them, thank Him. Gratitude amplifies the signal. The more you honor what you see, the faster it multiplies. Perhaps even now, you can recall recent moments that didn't make sense, a delay that redirected you, a cancellation that led to peace, a lost opportunity that freed your time. Those were not setbacks, they were signs. Heaven rearranged your path to make room for what's arriving now. The delivery has begun. Chosen one. The courier of heaven is not late, it's perfectly on time. And soon, what has been spiritual will become physical. What has been unseen will touch your reality. When it happens, you'll know, not because of fireworks, but because your spirit will whisper, "This is it." You'll stand in a place that once existed only in your prayers and realize the signs were there all along. Now, take a prophetic step, a symbolic act of agreement with heaven's movement. Go to the comments and write this number, 888, because 8 is the number of new beginnings, and heaven is tripling it over your life. 3 8s mean complete renewal, spirit, soul, and body. Writing it is more than a gesture. It's an act of faith that seals your alignment with the flow of divine delivery. It declares that the new has begun, that the waiting has transformed into arrival. Chosen one. This is your confirmation. The signs are real. The shift is now, and the delivery has started. Watch what happens next. Chosen one. Now that the signs of delivery are revealing themselves, you begin to see the full picture of your journey. The delays, the silence, the heartbreaks, and the unanswered prayers all served a hidden purpose. They refined you, not ruined you. What you thought was stagnation was really sanctification, a sacred process designed to strengthen your faith so you could carry what's now being released. This is the season where you finally understand why it took so long. You were being tested, not for punishment, but for preparation. Every trial was a mirror, revealing the state of your heart. Every disappointment forced you to trust in what you could not see. Every moment of silence taught you to hear the whisper of God in a deeper way. You are not the same person who first prayed for this. You have been transformed in the waiting. Testing is not a sign of God's absence. It's proof of His investment. The stronger the calling, the more thorough the refining. Gold does not complain about the fire. It knows that fire is the only way impurities leave. And so it was with you. The heat you felt, the loneliness you endured, the tears you cried in silence, those were the fires that purified your motives, sharpened your discernment, and deepened your roots. The Spirit spoke through the Apostle Peter. First letter, chapter 1, verse 7. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. That verse is not just ancient truth, it is the story of your soul. You have been purified in silence. Your faith, once fragile, is now unshakable. The very storms that tried to drown you ended up teaching you how to walk on water. The fire that was meant to destroy you has become your forge of resilience. There were moments when you prayed for escape, and heaven stayed still. You thought you were being ignored, but you were being equipped. Escape would have left you unready. Endurance made you unbreakable. The testing of your faith has created spiritual authority within you, the kind that cannot be imitated or manufactured. You've earned it through endurance, through tears, through holding on when quitting seemed easier. Every test you faced revealed something divine about your design. The pain exposed your compassion. The loneliness revealed your calling to connection. The losses taught you what truly matters. Nothing you've faced has been random. Each trial was a sculptor's hand, shaping you into the image of strength and grace that heaven envisioned. And though you questioned your capacity, heaven never did. God saw what He placed within you before you ever saw it yourself. That is why the storms were permitted not to break you, but to introduce you to your own resilience. Now, as the weight of those trials begins to lift, you'll notice that the things that once frightened you no longer have power. You've outgrown your fear. You've become a carrier of peace in places that once brought panic. The old wounds no longer define you. They've become proof of divine preservation. Chosen one. You've passed through the refining fire and come out with something pure, unshakable faith. The kind that doesn't demand proof before it believes. The kind that worships in advance. The kind that trusts the hand of God even when it cannot trace His plan. And this is what makes you ready now. The delivery that's coming isn't fragile, it's fortified. Because your heart has been purified, your blessing can rest safely upon you. What once would have overwhelmed you will now flow through you. The waiting tested your patience, but it also revealed your worthiness. Think of a sword forged in fire. Each time it's placed back into the flames, it grows stronger, sharper, more capable of holding an edge. The repeated heating and cooling is not cruelty, it's creation. And just like that sword, your trials have given you strength that does not dull. You've been heated and hammered, but not destroyed, only shaped for destiny. Chosen one. This is why the testing was necessary. It was never meant to humiliate you, only to prepare you for the magnitude of what's coming. You were not delayed because you were weak. You were delayed because you were being fortified. Now you carry a light that darkness can no longer intimidate. You've been trained by trial, and heaven has approved your endurance. The wilderness season that once felt endless is now the proof that you can handle what's next. Your testing has ended in triumph. You are no longer being prepared. You are being positioned. The furnace has done its work. What emerges now is not the same you who entered. The fire was the final stage before fulfillment. Stand tall. Chosen one. You have passed through the proving ground of heaven. What's next is glory. Chosen one. What you lost will not be returned in the same form. It will be returned in divine substitution. Heaven never restores in equal measure. It restores in overflow. What was taken, what slipped away, what you were forced to release, all of it is making its way back to you in a better, higher, and holier form. You are not merely recovering, you are receiving refinement through replacement. There is a mystery in the way God redeems. When He allows something to be removed, it is never without intention. He subtracts to multiply. He prunes to make room for new fruit. You thought that loss marked the end of something meaningful, but it was the beginning of something magnificent. Divine substitution does not mimic what was lost, it transcends it. You remember the seasons when people left unexpectedly, when opportunities faded, when relationships or jobs that once felt vital suddenly vanished. You questioned why God would allow such emptiness. But heaven saw what you could not. Certain attachments could not travel with you into the next chapter. Their removal was not rejection, it was redirection. Every loss has been an exchange waiting to happen. You've been handing over temporary things in preparation for eternal ones. The very hands that felt empty are the same ones God is filling now. You thought something was stolen, but heaven was actually securing your upgrade. As the prophet Joel recorded, chapter 2, verse 25, I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. Chosen one. Consider how the forest grows. After fire sweeps through, it looks like total ruin, black soil, fallen trees, silence. But beneath the ash, seeds begin to open that could not germinate without heat. The destruction becomes the very thing that activates new life. That's divine substitution. Out of the ashes, something stronger emerges. What you've lost has fertilized the ground of your future. The tears that soaked the soil of disappointment are now nurturing new growth. The pain that once burned you is now feeding your roots with wisdom. This is how heaven repurposes loss, by transforming it into the foundation of something far greater. You may not yet recognize the replacements because they often appear humble. Divine restoration begins subtly, almost quietly. A new opportunity will appear that doesn't look grand, but carries divine fingerprints. A new connection will enter your life and feel peaceful rather than exciting. That peace is the sign. What's of God does not arrive in chaos, it arrives in calm. Chosen one. Everything that left your life made space for what belongs. Do not mourn what God has removed. Celebrate what He is sending. If something or someone could leave easily, it was never rooted deeply. You were being freed, not forsaken. Think back to the doors that shut abruptly. Those closures were not punishment, they were protection. God's mercy sometimes looks like disappointment. The very thing you begged Him to keep might have been the very thing that would have broken you. You prayed for open doors, but heaven knew which ones needed to stay sealed. That's love protection disguised as loss. And now, you stand at the edge of divine exchange. The emptiness inside you has become holy ground where heaven plants miracles. The things you once clung to are no longer needed because what's coming carries new weight and new wonder. The replacements will surprise you. They will not mirror what you lost, because heaven has no interest in imitation. What's coming will fit better. last longer, and bless deeper. The relationships will be more aligned, the opportunities more stable, the joy more authentic. The new is not a copy, it's a completion. Do not look back for old blessings, look forward for fulfilled promises. The season of substitution is not about nostalgia, it's about destiny. God has seen every place of lack and is answering not with recovery, but with multiplication. Chosen one. Heaven's law is simple. Nothing surrendered in faith ever truly leaves you. It changes form. It shifts dimension. It transforms into something more refined. That's why every sacrifice matters, because it becomes the seed of greater glory. The exchange is underway, even now. Your spirit will begin to sense it first. Peace replacing pain. Clarity replacing confusion. Joy returning where grief once lived. These are the first signs of divine substitution taking effect. Soon, what was lost will no longer sting. You will speak of it with gratitude instead of grief. You will realize that heaven did not remove, heaven replaced, and what you gain will be so fitting, so divine, that you will whisper, "Now I understand." And chosen one. This is the beauty of God's restoration. He never simply gives back, He gives beyond. Chosen one. The moment has come when the tables begin to turn. What once stood against you is now standing aside for you. The power of divine reversal is in motion, and heaven is making public what was long prepared in private. Those who misunderstood your silence will now witness your strength. Those who mocked your waiting will watch your rising. The same stage that once exposed your pain will soon display your purpose. You are entering a season where God Himself becomes your defender. You won't need to prove yourself, explain yourself, or justify the journey you've walked. The evidence will speak for you. Heaven is about to present undeniable proof that the delay was divine. Those who thought you were forgotten will soon realize you were being fortified. The script has flipped, and it was written by the author of time himself. There was a season when you were the topic of whispers, when others questioned how someone so faithful could face so much. You felt unseen, unheard, perhaps even unloved. But what you didn't know is that heaven was quietly preparing vindication. God allowed the misunderstanding because it became part of your testimony. Now, as you step into manifestation, your very existence becomes a sermon. Chosen one. The tables are turning, not in vengeance, but in validation. This is not about humiliation for others, it's about exaltation for you. When God elevates His chosen, He doesn't do it to shame others. He does it to show His power to redeem and restore. The same people who once overlooked you will witness how heaven never did. As it is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 30, verse 11, "You turned my mourning into dancing. You removed my sackcloth and clothed me with joy." Those sacred words are breathing life into your story right now. You, who were once forgotten, will now become a symbol of divine favor. The very places that once rejected you will call you back in honor. The same ground that held your tears will now yield your harvest. This reversal will not be subtle. The change will be visible, undeniable, and timed perfectly. Opportunities will start appearing without you chasing them. People who once closed their doors will extend their hands. The anointing that was hidden within you will rise to the surface, and those who once doubted you will speak your name with respect. You see, when heaven flips the script, no one can argue. Divine vindication doesn't require your defense. It carries its own evidence. God doesn't need to announce what he's doing. The results will make the announcement for him. Chosen one. Your endurance has become your witness. You didn't retaliate when you were mocked. You didn't crumble when you were misjudged. You stood in grace. And grace has recorded every moment. Heaven has been keeping score. Not to punish others, but to bless you openly. The turning of tables is not about revenge, it's about revelation. Soon, those who underestimated you will realize that the same grace they dismissed was the very thing they needed. Your light will not humiliate, it will illuminate. Even your enemies will learn through your elevation that God's hand cannot be hidden. The season of reversal comes with a sacred instruction. Stay humble. The tables turning is not the end. It's the beginning of influence. You will be placed in rooms where your name was once rejected. You will hold keys to gates that others once guarded. How you handle the rise determines how far the favor flows. So, when the recognition comes, don't boast, bless. When they ask how it happened, point upward. Let gratitude be your crown and grace be your garment. This is how the chosen walk when God promotes them, with authority in spirit and gentleness in heart. This shift will be more than personal. It will ripple through others connected to you. Your story will awaken faith in those who gave up hope. Your breakthrough will whisper to others, if God did it for them, he can do it for me. You will become living proof that waiting is never wasted. And when that moment of public favor arrives, you will know what to do, not gloat, but give glory. Because the same God who turns tables can turn hearts. And through your testimony, he will. Now, as an act of agreement, go to the comments and type, "It's my turn." Say it with conviction, not as a boast, but as a declaration of faith. Every time you write those words, you're aligning your spirit with what heaven is already declaring over you. You're stepping into the new position God has prepared, where your story flips from hidden to highlighted, from overlooked to ordained. Chosen one. The tables are turning, and this time, they're turning in your favor. Chosen one. Once heaven releases an order, nothing on earth can slow it down. You are stepping into the season of divine acceleration, a time when years of waiting will be redeemed in moments. What once took months will take minutes. What once demanded striving will unfold with ease. Heaven's timing is no longer crawling, it's sprinting. This acceleration isn't chaotic, it's purposeful. Like a river that suddenly breaks through the rocks that restrained it. The flow quickens because the path has been cleared. Every obstacle that once slowed you down was secretly carving out a deeper channel for the outpouring to come. When the dam finally breaks, the water doesn't trickle, it roars. Chosen one. That roar is what your spirit feels right now. There's a stirring, a divine urgency that isn't anxiety but alignment. You can sense heaven's breath behind you, propelling you forward into places you once only dreamed about. Opportunities will begin to appear in clusters, divine coincidences that seem too perfectly timed to be random, but they're not coincidences. They are confirmations. Heaven's hand is accelerating your steps. The same path that felt endless will suddenly shorten. Delays will dissolve. Conversations will open new doors without effort. Even people who once ignored you will begin to seek you out. Drawn not by your reputation, but by the anointing you carry, It's as if time itself is being redeemed for your sake. As the prophet Amos declared, chapter 9, verse 13, "The days are coming, says the Lord, when the plowman overtakes the reaper, and the mountains drip with sweet wine." But acceleration requires awareness. If you move too fast without focus, you can lose what heaven intends to deliver. This is why God prepared your heart before the speed increased, so that you could handle the momentum with grace. Imagine a sailboat catching strong wind without balance. It would capsize. With proper alignment, it glides. You are that vessel now, guided by both strength and surrender. The season of acceleration will not only bless you, it will bless through you. People connected to your life will feel the overflow of your favor. Your obedience will become a current that carries others forward. That's why this acceleration is not random, it's relational. Heaven accelerates purpose, not ego. Chosen one. When the miracles begin to multiply, remember how far you've come. Remember the nights you prayed through tears, the moments you almost quit. Every second of waiting is now being redeemed 1,000-fold. God is not just catching you up, He's placing you ahead. You will soon look around and realize that what you have entered is not speed for speed's sake, but divine Synchronisation. Time itself bows to the will of God when it concerns the chosen. The hours you thought were lost are returning to you as harvest. And as this divine current begins to carry you, pause, not to slow down, but to stay grateful. Gratitude keeps the flow pure. The one who remembers the source never runs dry. If this message finds your spirit, let it become part of your rhythm. Don't just listen, flow with it. Like this message, to anchor it in your heart. Share it with another soul who feels stuck in waiting, so they too can sense the stirring of divine momentum. Subscribe to stay connected to these currents of revelation, so that as heaven continues to move, you remain in the stream. And if your heart feels moved, you may sow into this word, not as a transaction, but as an act of agreement. Giving is how you plant your gratitude in fertile ground. Every offering is a seed carried downstream, touching lives you may never meet, fueling the messages that once found you in your own wilderness. It's not payment, it's participation in divine flow. When you give, you are saying to heaven, let the river continue. Every act of generosity becomes a drop that joins the current of grace. Together, those drops form oceans that reach the forgotten and restore the weary. That is how your faith multiplies, not by holding, but by releasing. Chosen one, this is your acceleration hour. Heaven's hand is on the throttle, and time is bowing to divine command. You are not chasing favor anymore. Favor is chasing you. So, lift your eyes, breathe deeply, and keep your heart steady. The wind has shifted. The current is strong. You are no longer standing still. You are soaring. Chosen one. There was a door you could not open no matter how hard you tried. You prayed. You pushed. You knocked. Yet the handle would not turn. For a long time, that locked door became a symbol of frustration, the dream that never materialized, the opportunity that never arrived, the breakthrough that always seemed to linger just beyond reach. You wondered if God had forgotten you there, standing before it. But the truth is deeper. It wasn't the right time, and it wasn't the right key. What you thought was denial was divine protection. The door wasn't locked to keep you out. It was sealed to keep danger in. God saw things beyond your sight, motives, traps, distractions, paths that appeared promising but led to collapse. Sometimes the greatest mercy is a closed door. While you were trying to open it, heaven was whispering, "Not this one, not yet." And, chosen one, you must understand, there are doors that only obedience can unlock. Effort, talent, and ambition can only do so much. There comes a point where you realize the strength of your arm cannot move what only surrender can. You had to stop striving before the door could open. God was not testing your persistence. He was cultivating your posture, teaching you to trust, not to force. And then one day, when you least expected it, something shifted. The pressure lifted. The handle that resisted for years suddenly turned with ease. That's how divine timing feels effortless. After endless effort, you'll realize that obedience was the master key all along. Chosen one. Think of it this way. Every lock has a unique design. The wrong key, no matter how polished or strong, cannot open it. Many times, you tried to enter with human keys, good intentions, clever plans, emotional effort, but heaven required a spiritual key. Obedience. The moment you stopped demanding and started listening, the alignment began. The sound of surrender echoed through heaven, and the keeper of doors responded, as recorded in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 8. I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. These words are alive in your story now. The door you could not open through striving has been opened through surrender. It was never about your power, it was always about your posture. God has placed before you what was once beyond you, and when heaven opens it, no human force can close it again. You see, God does not open doors until both you and the destination are ready. He prepares both sides of the threshold. While you were being refined in patience, what waited on the other side was being refined in timing. You were not waiting alone. Your blessing was waiting too. Sometimes God delays access because the room beyond the door isn't prepared to receive you yet. The people, the circumstances, the opportunities on the other side need their own transformation. Heaven synchronizes everything so that when you finally walk through, it all works together perfectly. That is divine choreography, the unseen alignment of heaven and earth. Chosen one. You will recognize this open door not by the ease of entry, but by the peace that surrounds it. The presence of peace is heaven's signature. The same door that once made you anxious will now feel like home. You won't have to force it. You'll simply walk through it. When you enter, don't rush. Take a breath and realize you've stepped into a fulfillment that once existed only in prayer. The whole way of waiting was not wasted. It prepared you to honor what you now hold. Every lesson, every tear, every not yet has built within you a reverence for this moment. And as you cross through, notice what's different about you. You're no longer the version of yourself that knocked in desperation. You're wiser now, grounded, grateful. The one who enters this new season knows how to carry blessing without pride and handle opportunity without fear. Chosen one. This open door is not the end. It's the beginning of a new assignment. Every opening comes with responsibility. You are being trusted with access, and heaven expects stewardship. The door is not just a reward, it's a revelation. What you find beyond it will require your humility. your consistency, and your faith. Walk through it slowly. Speak blessings as you go. Let gratitude echo in every step. You're not intruding, you're being invited. You are walking through a threshold that was designed for you before time began. The years of delay were the price of preparation. Now, the door that resisted you welcomes you. The sound you hear is not just a hinge turning, it's destiny unfolding. You've waited long enough. The keeper of doors has declared, "Enter." Chosen one. The confirmations are here. The waiting season that once seemed endless is now echoing with signs that what God promised is unfolding before your very eyes. You don't need to force them, they are appearing naturally. Like flowers after long rain, prophetic proofs are surrounding you. Little nudges, divine coincidences, numbers, words, moments that feel too specific to be random. The unseen is revealing itself through evidence that only your spirit can interpret. You are walking through days where heaven leaves breadcrumbs not to confuse you, but to comfort you. You might wake with a verse repeating in your heart, or find yourself encountering the same phrase multiple times in one day. You might overhear a conversation that feels like a direct answer to a private prayer. These are not accidents. These are whispers from the divine. What's happening now is confirmation, not coincidence. God is showing you that his silence was never absence. Every sign is an echo of his presence, gently reminding you, "I never left." The delay wasn't a detour, it was an incubation. And now, the proofs of delivery are showing up all around you. Chosen one. Don't underestimate the small things. Prophetic signs rarely arrive with fanfare. They come softly, like dew on the morning grass. God hides great messages in humble moments. A stranger's kind word, a sudden peace that floods your heart, an open door that seems effortless. These are heaven's way of saying, "I'm here, and it's time." End of 2. Scripture says in the Gospel of John, chapter 14, verse 27, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." End of 2. That peace, chosen one, is your proof. When peace settles, where anxiety once ruled, that is the signature of God. You will know something is from him, not by its speed or glamour, but by the stillness it carries. His presence never rushes, it reassures. You have prayed for confirmation, and heaven is answering not through thunder, but through patterns. You will start to see numbers repeating, words aligning, opportunities reappearing that once vanished. Pay attention, for God is confirming the season's shift. These signs are not for superstition, they are for strengthening your faith. They're heaven's way of saying, "You were right to believe." The proof might appear as restoration, someone reaching out to reconcile, a project resurrected, a dream reignited. It might appear as release, something you clung to, suddenly leaving without pain, making space for new beginnings. However it comes, know this: God is speaking clearly, and the signs are his language of love. Chosen one. Sometimes confirmation comes disguised as correction. A door may close abruptly, and that too is a sign. Heaven uses both openings and endings to guide you. Every no is an arrow pointing toward your destined yes. You must learn to read the divine handwriting across your days. It's everywhere, in timing, in peace, in alignment. You've matured now to a point where God doesn't need to shout. He whispers because he knows you'll listen. You've learned to discern not with fear, but with faith. You no longer need constant reassurance. You recognize the rhythm of his voice. That sensitivity is a mark of those who have walked faithfully through silence. The prophetic proofs are heaven's applause, evidence that your endurance mattered. Each confirmation is God's way of saying, "Well done for not giving up. You have walked by faith." And now sight is catching up. And so, chosen one, when you notice these signs, the repeated verse, the recurring number, the sudden opportunities, don't dismiss them. Pause, breathe, and whisper gratitude. You are living inside answered prayer. Now, as a prophetic act of recognition, go to the comments and write this number, 444. 4 is the number of stability, foundation, order, and structure. 444 is heaven's way of affirming that what has been established in the spirit is now taking form in the natural. When you write 444, you are declaring that divine order has entered your life. No more chaos, no more confusion. It is your sign that what was promised is becoming permanent. This isn't superstition, it's symbolic alignment. You're telling heaven, "I see the signs. I hear you. I receive." Your comment becomes agreement. Your faith becomes the signature on heaven's delivery note. Chosen one. The confirmations are not random. They are the fingerprints of a faithful God, leaving visible marks across your days to say, the wait is over. The proof is here. Number 6. Watch carefully. The ordinary is becoming prophetic. Every step now will carry evidence of divine orchestration. You will not have to search for signs. They will find you. Chosen one. As the signs of fulfillment continue to unfold, something greater begins to rise within you, a mantle. You can feel the weight of it resting on your spirit. Sacred and steady. It is not heavy like burden, it is heavy like authority. You are stepping into a dimension that was once reserved for those who came before you. Yet heaven has chosen this moment to pass the torch to your hands. The waiting has made you ready. And the mantle is the proof. A mantle is more than a calling. It is an assignment wrapped in grace. It carries power, wisdom, and responsibility. It doesn't just elevate you, it transforms you. When God places a mantle upon someone, he transfers not only anointing but identity. You are no longer who you were in the wilderness. You have crossed from preparation into purpose. Chosen one. You may have sensed this shift before it became visible. You began to notice that certain things no longer interest you, that certain people can no longer walk with you. You felt yourself withdrawing, not out of rejection, but refinement. Mantles demand separation, not isolation, but consecration. Heaven has been drawing you away from distractions so that you can hear instructions clearly. As the prophet Elijah passed to Elisha, so does heaven pass to you a double portion, forged through faithfulness. But remember this, the mantle is not a trophy. It is a tool. It is not a symbol of arrival. It is a summons to deeper service. To carry a mantle is to live for something beyond yourself. The Apostle Paul reminds us in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 6, "He has made us competent as ministers of a new covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kills, but the Spirit gives life." And that verse breathes through your calling. The mantle you carry is not about rules or ritual. It's about life-giving presence. You are not called to imitate what others have done, but to reveal what the Spirit is doing through you now. The mantle, custom fits your soul. No one else can wear it. Chosen one. When mantles are transferred, spiritual perception changes. You begin to see what others overlook, to sense what others ignore. Heaven sharpens your sight. You'll start to recognize divine patterns, discern unseen motives, and feel spiritual movements before they manifest. This isn't paranoia, it's perception. The mantle heightens your awareness so that you can serve with precision. But with this increase comes responsibility. You must handle power with purity. The mantle magnifies both strength and motive. That's why humility is your shield. The higher the calling, the lower the posture must be. The mantle is sustained by the same surrender that invited it. Chosen one. You will feel the mantle settle gradually, not all at once. It's like dawn creeping across the sky. The light expands softly until everything is clear. Each day, a new layer of clarity unfolds. You will find yourself speaking with authority that surprises even you. You will move with grace that feels beyond your natural ability. That's the mantle manifesting heaven, working through your humanity. Do not fear the weight of it. You were built for this. The years of testing were not random. They were conditioning your spirit to bear the responsibility of glory. God never gives crowns to untested hearts, and He never lays mantles on unready shoulders. The waiting was your training. Now, you carry what others prayed for but could not hold. You are becoming a vessel of transmission, someone through whom the divine flows freely. Your words will begin to stir faith in others. Your presence will bring peace to rooms that once knew only confusion. You will notice it, how people lean in, not to hear you, but to hear what heaven says through you. Chosen one. Never forget, mantles are not worn for admiration, but for assignment. You are an ambassador of restoration, a carrier of light in a weary world. The same God who called you through storms now trusts you to calm them for others. Do not chase validation. The mantle itself is validation enough. Heaven's endorsement is silent but sure. The results of your obedience will speak louder than applause. Carry it with honor. Carry it with compassion. Carry it with courage. The mantle is not the end of your journey. It's the beginning of a new level of impact. You've been chosen to continue what others started, to awaken hearts that have slept through their purpose. And as you walk forward, remember, this is not borrowed power. It is bestowed authority. It came through pain, through pruning, through perseverance. It belongs to you because you paid the price of patience. The mantle has found its rightful bearer. You are not just stepping into destiny. Destiny is stepping into you. Chosen one. Now comes the part of the journey. Few ever reach the reward for endurance. You have walked through fire without burning, through floods without drowning, through silence without surrendering, and heaven has taken notice. The reward for endurance is not always material. Often, it is spiritual transformation, the unshakable peace, the quiet confidence, the deep knowing that you are held by something greater than circumstance. Still, God is just, and He remembers every tear, every hidden labor, every act of obedience that no one saw. Nothing you endured was invisible in heaven. You will find that even the smallest sacrifices have been recorded, like seeds buried in sacred soil, waiting for their time to sprout. That time is now. The reward of endurance begins first in your spirit. It comes as strength that cannot be faked, the kind that makes others wonder how you keep standing. It shows up as wisdom that doesn't come from books or advice, but from pain turned into perspective. The nights you wrestled with fear have birthed a faith that does not waver. You no longer react to storms the way you once did, because now you understand that the same wind that bends you also carries you. It was written in the book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Ein Freight. That verse is the anthem of your life. You did not give up. Even when you felt unseen, you kept sowing kindness when bitterness seemed easier. You kept believing when hope was costly. And now, the harvest is approaching, not a random crop, but a precise reflection of every seed sown in faith. You may notice the shift first through restoration of things you thought were gone forever. Relationships mended, finances restored, doors reopening with favor you never had before. Heaven's justice is unfolding, and it will happen so naturally that you might almost overlook it. But pause, recognize the pattern. What you once begged for is now flowing toward you effortlessly. Chosen one. The reward for endurance is also visibility. There were seasons when your voice was ignored, your worth overlooked, your potential underestimated. But endurance has a sound, a vibration. Heaven amplifies at the appointed time. You are entering a season when what was hidden will be honored. The ones who once doubted you will see undeniable evidence of God's hand on your life. Yet, remember this, visibility is not vanity, it's verification. It's heaven's way of showing that faithfulness is never wasted. You didn't endure for attention, and that's why you can now be trusted with it. The recognition that's coming isn't about spotlight, it's about stewardship. You are being seen, so you can serve on a greater scale. There's a quiet nobility in how you've endured. You didn't retaliate when wronged. You didn't curse when crushed. You chose forgiveness when anger would have been easier. That restraint was your test, and you passed it. You proved to heaven that your faith was not conditional. You didn't love God for reward. You loved Him for who He is. That's why the reward is inevitable. The beauty of this season is that your endurance has not only changed your future, it has changed you. You carry a calm that can't be shaken, a light that cannot be dimmed. You no longer chase validation, you carry authority. You no longer beg for open doors, you build them. Endurance has made you durable, a vessel that can hold both pain and promise without breaking. Chosen one. The reward is coming in waves. First, peace. Then restoration. Then elevation. Each one will arrive quietly, wrapped in divine timing. The things that once broke your heart will begin to make sense. The wounds you carried will turn into wisdom that blesses others. And in that moment, when you realize how far you've come, gratitude will flood your soul. You'll look back and whisper, "It was worth it." The sleepless nights, the unanswered questions, the silent years, all of it was building this moment of redemption. Your endurance has rewritten your story. You were once the one who survived. Now you are the one who thrives. The fire didn't consume you, it crowned you. The tears didn't drown you, they watered your destiny. The reward for endurance isn't just what you gain, it's who you become. You have become a living testament that faith can outlast fear, that love can outshine loss, that purpose can rise from pain. Heaven has seen your faithfulness, and now the season of reward unfolds. Chosen one. Stand still for a moment and let it sink in. You made it through. And what's ahead will be nothing short of glory. Chosen one. What you carry now is no longer just for you. The glory that has settled upon your life is meant to ripple outward, touching those who cross your path. You are becoming the evidence of divine transformation, a living letter written not with ink, but with endurance. The reward you received privately will now begin to flow publicly, not to inflate your name, but to glorify His. This is what I call the ripple of glory. It starts small, like a drop falling into still water, but the impact expands, touching everything within reach. Every person you encourage, every word you speak in truth, every prayer you whisper for another soul, they are waves spreading from your obedience. Heaven measures success not by how high you climb, but by how many hearts you lift along the way. Chosen one. Your story carries resonance. It vibrates in the unseen. When others hear your testimony, something in them awakens. They recognize themselves in your survival. They see proof that grace is real. You've become a lighthouse, not because you've escaped storms, but because you've learned to shine through them. The same light that guided you out of darkness will now guide others home. As the Apostle Peter wrote in his first letter, chapter 2, verse 9, you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare His marvelous light. That verse is your assignment in this season. You've been called out so you can call others through. You are not simply blessed, you are commissioned. Every victory carries a voice, and heaven is asking you to use yours. Think of your life as a candle. When another flame touches it, neither one loses light, both burn brighter. When you share your faith, your peace, your encouragement, you multiply illumination. One act of kindness becomes two. One word of hope becomes a chain reaction of healing. That is the ripple of glory, divine light reproducing itself through willing vessels. Your words hold power now. When you speak, you're no longer echoing pain, you're releasing peace. Your voice carries weight because it has been forged in silence. The ones who once doubted you will listen, not because of your eloquence, but because your authenticity is undeniable. Chosen one. Don't hide the light that cost you so much to find. Let it move. Let it flow. Speak to those still wandering in confusion. Remind them that they are not disqualified. Tell them that delay is not denial. That darkness is not destiny. Your journey was never meant to end in isolation. It was meant to birth inspiration. If this message reaches you in a quiet hour, let it be a mirror of your own mission. Perhaps heaven is whispering to your heart, your story is not small. Share it. When you share your journey, even in fragments, you extend the ripple of glory further. You help heal someone who thought no one understood. You remind a weary heart that they too are chosen. And if these words stir something deep inside you, let your response become part of the movement. Like this message, not out of routine, but as a declaration. I am part of this ripple. When you share it, you're not just sending content, you're sending comfort to a stranger you may never meet. Every share is a ripple expanding across digital waters, reaching hearts far beyond your horizon. If this voice has become part of your journey, subscribe so the stream of truth can keep flowing into your spirit. Let each new word find you when you need it most, not as noise, but as nourishment. And if you feel a gentle nudge to give, treat it as worship. A donation is not an obligation, it's a drop returning to the ocean that filled it. Every offering, no matter its size, helps keep the current of these messages alive. You're not paying for inspiration, you're participating in expansion. What fed your soul today might feed another tomorrow, because you chose to keep the light moving. So, go ahead, comment below. Share what part of this message touched you, or simply write, "The ripple lives." That single phrase becomes a wave of agreement across hearts and nations. Every comment is a heartbeat saying, "I'm still standing. I'm still believing. I'm still chosen. Chosen one." The ripple has begun, and you are its center. Let gratitude be your current. Let generosity be your tide. Keep shining. Keep sharing. Keep sending light. Heaven multiplies what is moved in love. You are not just a receiver of glory, you are a river of it. Chosen one. What heaven is doing now is beyond restoration. It is redemption multiplied. This is the restoration spiral, the holy cycle where God not only returns what was taken, but increases it beyond recognition. What once broke you now builds you. What once drained you now delivers strength. You are witnessing the law of divine return. When God restores, He never gives back in the same measure. He always adds glory to it. Look closely at your journey. Every place that was once barren is now budding. The soil that seemed unresponsive is stirring with life. The prayers you thought were lost in time are producing fruit in unexpected ways. That's how divine restoration works. It doesn't follow logic, it follows love. You have been through cycles of loss and recovery, but this time is different. You're not returning to the starting line, you're rising in a spiral, higher and stronger. Each revolution of pain and faith has lifted you closer to heaven's design. The pattern of struggle has been broken. The pattern of restoration has taken its place. Chosen one. Divine restoration is not simply repayment, it's refinement. God doesn't hand back what you had. He transforms it into what it was always meant to be. The friendships you lost are being replaced with covenant connections. The resources you lacked are being replaced with provision that carries purpose. The opportunities that once eluded you are returning, this time aligned with your anointing. It was written in the book of Job, chapter 42, verse 10. The Lord restored Job's losses when he prayed for his friends, and the Lord gave him twice as much as he had before. Those ancient words are now a mirror of your own season. You, too, have prayed for others, even while standing in your own ashes. You've chosen mercy when bitterness seemed justified. And because of that, heaven is multiplying the measure of your return. There is a rhythm to restoration. It begins in stillness when you stop striving to fix what's broken. Then it shifts into release when you forgive what hurt you. Finally, it culminates in return when God gives back what the world cannot. You have walked through each stage with grace, even when grace felt costly. That is why restoration now surrounds you like a rising tide. Chosen one. You'll begin to notice that things once lost are finding their way back naturally, not because you chased them, but because you changed. You no longer need to run after blessings. Blessings recognize your frequency now. Your growth has altered your atmosphere. What belongs to you can now locate you easily. The restoration spiral also heals perception. You'll begin to see past pain differently. You'll look back and recognize divine fingerprints in what once felt like abandonment. The heartbreak that hollowed you created space for depth. The failures that humbled you built foundations for wisdom. The very moments you wished away were the ones shaping your future strength. That's how God restores, not by erasing the past, but by redeeming it. Every scar becomes sacred scripture written on your skin. The parts of you that were once wounded now shine with empathy and grace. You can speak peace into others because you've fought for it yourself. Chosen one. This spiral doesn't end with personal healing. It continues outward, touching everything around you. Families will find unity through your example. Finances will stabilize because your priorities have shifted. Health will flourish because your heart has learned peace. Restoration moves through you, like light through water, refracting into countless blessings for others. Do not be surprised if joy feels unfamiliar at first. After long seasons of survival, peace can seem strange. Let it in slowly. Trust that happiness is holy too. God is not only restoring what was lost, He's restoring your ability to receive. There will come a day soon when you'll look at your life and hardly recognize it. The places that once carried grief will radiate gratitude. The emptiness that used to echo with loss will hum with laughter. That's the mark of true restoration. It transforms even memory. And as this spiral continues, you'll realize something sacred. Nothing was ever truly stolen. Every detour, every delay, every disappointment was part of the greater design. The restoration spiral is not about getting back what was taken. It's about realizing you never truly lost. Everything is reborn in higher form. Chosen one. This is your season to rise without resistance. The ashes beneath your feet are the evidence of what has burned away, not your failure, but your former self. You've shed the weight of what was and embraced the wonder of what is. You are standing in the swirl of redemption, surrounded by abundance that doesn't just return, it multiplies. This is the spiral of restoration, where endings become beginnings, and loss becomes legacy. Chosen one. The journey comes full circle now. What began as delay has become delivery. What once felt like endless waiting has turned into a wave of manifestation. You stand, at last, in the place you once saw only in dreams. It feels both familiar and entirely new, like walking into a memory written long ago by the hand of God Himself. Every step that once felt uncertain has led to this appointed moment. You have arrived, not by chance, but by covenant. This is the moment of being delivered and crowned. The crown is not merely a symbol of status, it is the mark of survival, the seal of divine approval, the acknowledgement of faith that refused to faint. You have not just reached the promise, you have become it. Everything you've endured has crystallized into wisdom, strength, and glory that now radiate from within you. For years, you carried prophetic words in your heart like seeds waiting for rain. Now the rain has fallen. The soil of your soul, once dry with longing, is bursting with life. You can see it, how every hardship became harvest, how every detour found its direction, how every unanswered prayer found its reason. What was once withheld now rests gently in your hands. As the Apostle Paul wrote in his second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 8, "Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing. These words belong to you now. Your crown is not forged from gold, but from grace, the grace that kept you standing when strength was gone, that guided you when the path was dim, that carried you when your own faith faltered. You are proof that endurance leads to elevation, that waiting refines rather than wastes, that pain truly precedes purpose. Chosen one, the beauty of this season is not just in receiving what was delayed, but in realizing you are no longer the same person who began the wait. The trials reshaped you. The waiting taught you. The losses humbled you. You have become someone who can handle heaven's weight without pride, without fear, without compromise. That is why delivery could not come sooner. The blessing was waiting for the version of you who could carry it with grace. Look around your life now. The signs of fulfillment are everywhere. Doors that resisted you for years stand open. Connections that once felt distant are returning with divine timing. Peace, not fleeting happiness, but peace that anchors the soul, now resides within you. You have become steady, unshaken by storms, rooted in revelation. Chosen one, the crown you wear is invisible to the world, but undeniable to the spirit. It glows through your presence, your words, your kindness. People will feel it before they understand it. The authority you carry is gentle but firm, the kind born not from position but from perseverance. The delivery of your promise is not a single event. It is a living rhythm. Each day, new aspects of what God promised will continue to unfold. Blessings will mature in stages, like fruit ripening under steady light. You won't have to rush to keep them. What's truly yours will rest securely, untouched by envy or fear. But remember, the crown is not a decoration to display. It's a commission to serve. The higher God lifts you, the deeper He calls you to compassion. You are now the evidence of His mercy. Use your testimony not as a monument to your struggle, but as a map for others still walking through theirs. Chosen one, your victory is not private, it carries purpose. Heaven crowns you not just for surviving, but for showing others how to stand. You've become a torchbearer for those who have forgotten that light still exists. Your life, now radiant with fulfillment, whispers to weary souls, keep going, there is glory after grief. Engu, this is the quiet majesty of completion. No trumpets, no spectacle, just the steady knowing that you have seen God's faithfulness firsthand. You can breathe again. You can rest without fear of losing what you've gained. The season of striving is over. The season of sustaining has begun. Chosen one, the circle has closed, and yet it opens anew. You've reached one summit, only to see higher mountains in the distance. But this time, you do not climb as the uncertain, you climb as the crowned. The delays that once felt cruel now gleam like jewels of wisdom on your crown. The waiting was not wasted. The pain was not pointless. You have been delivered, and you have been crowned, not as the same person who began the journey, but as one transformed, tempered, and trusted. The heavens that once seemed silent now echo your name in approval. The waiting is over. The promise is here. The crown fits perfectly. Chosen one, if these words have found their way to your heart, it is not by accident, it is appointment. You have walked through the full circle of delay and delivery, of promise and fulfillment. Now, let this message be more than something you've heard. Let it become something you live. carry it into your days. Let every step remind you that heaven finishes what it starts. If this journey spoke to you, if you felt your spirit stirred, healed, or awakened, let your gratitude move. Like this message as an act of agreement, saying, I receive what heaven has released. Share it with someone still waiting for their own delivery. Because your share might be their sign. Comment below what part of this story resonated most with you. Or simply write, I am crowned. Your words join a chorus of other chosen souls declaring victory after the storm. And if this voice has become part of your spiritual rhythm, subscribe to stay connected. Every message is another drop of light in the dark, and when you stay near the flow, the fire inside you never fades. Chosen one. The story continues, and now it continues through you.